Today, I want to talk about something that could drastically change the way you move, feel, and age. If you're over the age of 60, or if you have a loved one in that age range, this message is absolutely critical. I'll lay it to you. What I'm about to share is based on real clinical findings, mechanistic biology, and some shocking data that's only recently started to get serious attention in the medical and longevity science communities. Now, let's be clear, vitamins are essential. Many of them are foundational for healthy aging, brain function, and musculoskeletal strength. But too much of certain vitamins, or even the wrong form of those vitamins, can actually create the very problems they're supposed to prevent. Specifically, I want to call out 3 vitamins that older adults are routinely taking, sometimes in megadoses, that are contributing to muscle degradation, impaired neuromuscular function, and a measurable decline in leg strength and mobility. Let's walk through them. Vitamin E is commonly taken for its antioxidant properties and is often promoted as a supplement that supports cardiovascular health and reduces inflammation. However, what many people, especially seniors, don't realize is that the form and dosage of vitamin E matter significantly. Most over-the-counter supplements contain alpha tocopherol, usually in its synthetic form, labeled as EDL alpha tocopherol. This specific form of vitamin E, when taken in isolation and at high doses, can create more harm than benefit, particularly for neuromuscular health and physical function in older adults. Alpha tocopherol is just one of 8 forms of vitamin E. In nature, we find a mix of tocopherols and tocotrienols, including gamma tocopherol, delta tocopherol, and others. These compounds work synergistically in the body to combat oxidative stress, regulate inflammation, and maintain healthy cell signaling. However, when synthetic alpha tocopherol is consumed in large amounts, it displaces gamma tocopherol in cell membranes and plasma. This disrupts the natural balance and can impair the body's ability to manage oxidative damage effectively, particularly in tissues that require high neuromuscular coordination, like the legs and lower extremities. Gamma tocopherol in particular has anti-inflammatory effects that alpha tocopherol lacks. It also neutralizes nitrogen-based free radicals, which are especially damaging to muscle and nerve tissues. By displacing gamma tocopherol, excess alpha tocopherol can reduce this protective effect and potentially increase vulnerability to neuromuscular decline. In older adults where sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, and nerve conduction delays are already a concern, this imbalance can lead to noticeable reductions in leg strength, coordination, and endurance. Several clinical studies have drawn attention to this issue. A meta-analysis conducted at Johns Hopkins reviewed multiple randomized controlled trials and found that doses above 400 a day of alpha tocopherol were not only ineffective at improving health outcomes, but were associated with increased mortality. While mortality itself is a strong endpoint, further data suggests that the route to these poor outcomes may include musculoskeletal weakening and neuromuscular impairment, particularly dangerous in populations already vulnerable to falls and mobility issues. In aging individuals, mobility is closely linked to independence and longevity. When synthetic vitamin E is taken in high doses, it may subtly erode leg function through 2 main pathways, disrupting antioxidant balance in muscle cells and interfering with neuromuscular junction signaling. Both mechanisms contribute to increased fatigue, slower walking speed, reduced balance, and a higher risk of falls. Because these changes occur gradually, They are often misattributed to just getting older, when in fact, the supplements themselves may be accelerating the decline. The issue is compounded by the fact that vitamin E is fat soluble, meaning it gets stored in the body rather than excreted quickly. This allows for accumulation over time, especially when daily supplementation goes unchecked for months or years. Seniors taking multivitamins, specialized heart health formulas, and standalone vitamin E supplements may be stacking doses without realizing it. This silent accumulation increases the risk of long-term harm. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin essential for vision, immune function, and cellular growth. However, in older adults, particularly those taking high-dose supplements, it can become a hidden contributor to physical decline. The most common supplemental forms of vitamin A are retinyl palmitate and retinyl acetate, which are preformed versions of the vitamin. Unlike beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A, based on need, preformed vitamin A is absorbed and stored in the liver with little regulatory control. This becomes problematic in seniors whose liver function and ability to metabolize fat-soluble vitamins may already be compromised. When vitamin A intake exceeds the body's requirements, it begins to accumulate in liver stores, potentially leading to a condition known as hypervitaminosis A. While this condition is often thought of in terms of toxicity symptoms like headaches, dry skin, and vision changes, one of its less appreciated but clinically significant effects is its impact on the musculoskeletal system. Research has shown that chronic excess of preformed vitamin A can lead to reduced bone mineral density and increased bone fragility, putting seniors at greater risk for fractures, particularly in the hip and femur. But its effects don't stop at B1 health. It also directly interferes with muscle protein synthesis, making it harder for the body to build or maintain lean muscle mass. This has direct consequences for leg strength, which is already vulnerable to age-related muscle atrophy, or vulnerable to age-related muscle. As muscle tissue becomes more resistant to growth stimuli with age, any added interference from excess vitamin A can accelerate the loss of strength and mobility. Moreover, high levels of vitamin A can negatively affect vitamin D metabolism, another nutrient that plays a vital role in maintaining neuromuscular health and leg strength. Vitamin D supports calcium absorption and muscle fiber activation, both of which are essential for stable and strong lower body function. When excessive vitamin A competes with or impairs vitamin D pathways, it creates a compound deficit, making the legs more prone to weakness, instability, and fatigue. Population-based studies have found that older adults with the highest levels of serum retinol, an indicator of vitamin A status, were significantly more likely to suffer from reduced grip strength and decreased lower limb function. These are not just laboratory findings. They translate into real-world outcomes such as slower gait speed, trouble rising from chairs, and a higher likelihood of falls. The issue is often compounded by the fact that seniors may be consuming fortified foods like cereals, dairy products, and meal replacements, in addition to supplements. This leads to a stacking effect, where the total daily intake of vitamin A far exceeds safe levels, often without the individual realizing it. What makes this especially concerning is that the symptoms of mild vitamin A toxicity, like fatigue, joint discomfort, and muscle weakness, can mimic general signs of aging. This makes it easy to overlook the role of supplementation in contributing to the decline. Because it is fat soluble, vitamin A remains in the body for extended periods, and its cumulative effects may only become apparent after months or years of consistent overconsumption. Vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, FOMT-E, is a water-soluble vitamin involved in numerous essential physiological processes. It plays a central role in neurotransmitter synthesis, amino acid metabolism, and immune function. While it is absolutely necessary for health, the common assumption that more is better has led to the widespread use of high-dose B6 supplements, particularly among older adults. The rationale behind this practice is often based on its perceived benefits for energy, mood regulation, and nerve support. However, long-term intake of high doses of B6, especially in the form of pyridoxine hydrochloride, has been shown to have neurotoxic effects, particularly on the peripheral nervous system. The most concerning consequence of B6 toxicity is the development of peripheral neuropathy, a condition in which the peripheral nerves, especially those serving the arms and legs, begin to deteriorate or malfunction. This damage results in symptoms such as tingling, numbness, burning sensations, and, over time, motor weakness. In seniors, the earliest and most noticeable effects often appear in the lower extremities, including the legs, and as the sensory nerves become impaired, so too does the body's ability to coordinate movement, maintain balance, and generate force in the leg muscles. What begins as a mild tingling can escalate into difficulty walking, slower gait speed, and an increased risk of falls. Unlike many vitamins where toxicity is rare without extreme dosing, B6 can become toxic with moderate overuse over time, particularly above 100 mg per day. Many supplements on the market still contain 200 to 500 mg of B6 per capsule, far exceeding the upper tolerable intake levels set by health agencies. Seniors who take a daily multivitamin, a B complex, and perhaps an additional nerve health supplement can easily and unknowingly exceed these levels, leading to a stacking effect that increases their risk of neuropathy. Even more problematic, the symptoms of B6 toxicity are subtle at first and often mistaken for normal aging or unrelated nerve issues. Research from longitudinal studies in Europe and the US has shown a consistent pattern. Older adults with high serum levels of B6, particularly those with supplemental sources, are more likely to report leg weakness, decreased proprioception, and poor balance control. These physical deficits are closely associated with reduced independence and quality of life in aging populations. The very systems responsible for posture, walking, and leg strength depend on finely tuned nerve muscle communication. When B6-induced neuropathy sets in, the electrical signals between brain and muscle begin to break down, leading to slowed reflexes, diminished strength, and unsteady movement. Adding to the concern, many people believe that because B6 is water-soluble, excess amounts will be flushed out in urine and pose no harm. While it's true that water-soluble vitamins are generally safer than fat-soluble ones, B6 is a clear exception. Its neurotoxic effects are dose-dependent and cumulative, meaning that even smaller amounts taken over long periods can cause harm. Seniors are especially vulnerable due to age-related changes in nerve regeneration and metabolism, which make it harder for the body to recover from damage. Once it occurs, fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamins I, D, E, and K are essential nutrients that the body needs in small but consistent amounts for a wide range of physiological functions. Unlike water-soluble vitamins, which are typically excreted through urine when consumed in excess, Fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the liver and adipose tissues. This storage capacity allows the body to maintain reserves during times of low intake. But it also means that these vitamins can accumulate to potentially harmful levels when taken in high doses over time. This issue becomes especially relevant for older adults who often take daily multivitamins, individual vitamin supplements, and fortified foods simultaneously without realizing that they are exceeding the safe thresholds for intake. Megadosing fat-soluble vitamins, whether intentional or accidental, has been linked to a range of adverse health effects, many of which directly impact musculoskeletal integrity, neuromuscular coordination, and overall mobility. For seniors, this is particularly concerning as they are already at greater risk of muscle loss, joint instability, and balance impairment due to natural aging processes. When the body is burdened with excessive levels of fat-soluble vitamins, it can result in toxicity symptoms that mimic or amplify age-related decline, making it difficult to distinguish the effects of the supplements from the effects of aging itself. One example is excess vitamin A, which in high doses has been shown to interfere with bone remodeling and suppress osteoblast activity, increasing the risk of fractures. Similarly, high levels of synthetic vitamin E can create imbalances in antioxidant systems, which can impair mitochondrial function in muscle cells, leading to fatigue and weakness in the legs. This unintentional stacking can occur daily over long periods, slowly contributing to functional declines that are mistakenly attributed to aging. What makes supplement stacking so concerning is that the individual products often looked at in isolation. Leg strength in particular is sensitive to changes in micronutrient balance. Muscle tissue relies on coordinated signaling from motor neurons, adequate energy supply from mitochondria, and stable structural support from bones and connective tissue.